Is that 108 inches? That's not 108 inches.
82, 92.
Okay, I'm sure you've seen the video by now with the diagonal backing trick. And for a long time, I tried really hard to think of the downside of it. Just because I'm stubborn, I guess. And I couldn't really think of one. And then, but I was like, well, I don't know why I would need that. And then I realized that I had some remnants. So this is a backing remnant. So it's 64 by 108 inches. So it's an extra wide backing, but it's only 64 inches of it. So that's why, you might use it, because 108 inches, like, that's great, but I can't use it if it's only 64 inches. I have a quilt that is 60 by 80 that I need to use this as backing for. So I've done this once before and I really actually liked it. The only catch is it's hard to do it by yourself because you're working with a large piece of fabric and you need to fold it like on the diagonal. So last time I had my son help me and he kind of helped me fold it, but maybe I can do it by myself. So it's actually really simple. I'm gonna take one corner and find the opposite diagonal corner, which I think is here. Let's see, this is the trick. Let's see. Maybe I can use my longer implant. Let's see if this will work. It'll be an extra hand, maybe. Let's see. Okay, so you hold that for me, and then I need to find the opposite diagonal corner, which is here. Okay. So then you just kind of, I'm making messes. I'm just making disasters. But you kind of pull it until it finds, I think that's okay. It finds its own diagonal. Okay, so I think this is close enough. Okay, and then I fold it in half so that I can just cut it more easily. Okay, so then you're just gonna cut that fold. I need scissors. So you're just gonna cut the fold. And I mean, yes, this is a bias, this is a diagonal thing, but you don't have to be scared of it. It's okay. If I was smart, which we know I'm not, I would have folded this with right sides in, just so that when I shift it and work with it, I don't have to flip them to be right sides together, but I did not think that one through. Okay. So you don't have to be scared of it. I mean, you don't want to like stretch it too much, but it's going to be okay. And then right at the fold, that center fold, you can open it up and cut the rest of the way. Okay, and then, like I said, this is where if I was smart, because I don't want to, okay, I'm gonna flip it this way, because I don't want to like lose track of where I am and what I'm doing. Okay, so remember that. Fold it right sides together. There we go. Okay, the trick here is, that's better. Okay. What essentially you're doing is, so the narrow pointy end, you're shifting it so that you're gaining width. So instead of, used to be that it was this wide, you're shifting it until you gain enough width. So you're gaining, however much width you need. Of course, you're losing length. So, but it used to be 108 inches and I didn't need 108. I only need like 90. Oh, there's some math right there. Because I just kind of eyeballed it last time. But if I'm 108 inches and I really only need think I can get away with 90 because my quilt is 60 by 80. Yeah. So 108 is where we started, which means I have 18 inches to work with, which means 9 inches on each side. So that's about right there. Okay, so I'm gonna, let's see if this will actually work, and then maybe it'll give us both some math to go with. So I'm going to shimmy it down to there. So this is 9 inches. I don't know if that's truly, because would it be 9 inches here? Would it be 9 inches like this? I don't know, and I don't care right now. This is about 12 inches, 9 inches. I don't know. We're going with it. Okay, so I'm gonna pretend that this is where we start. So now, instead of it lining up point to point, I'm gonna move the narrow point over, and there, wherever I marked it, that's where, so you've got this extra now hanging out, but this is relatively like small waist. Okay, so now I'm gonna pin all the way down. So if you've done it correctly, you'll have the same amount of overage on the other end as what you started with. Do you know what? I think I'll just serge this maybe. I'm not even gonna iron, or I'm not gonna sew it and press it open, which is what I would normally do, because normally if you're doing a backing with a seam and it's on the long arm, and you know, you're worried about that seam allowance kind of doubling up on itself as it's rolling up. So like so they're like, you know, make sure your seam line is horizontal. Because if you put your seam line vertical and it's like rolling up, it's definitively more bulky, which yes, is an issue sometimes. In this case though, I don't have to press the seam open because it's just like evenly distributed because it's diagonal. So that's kind of another benefit of this. Like I said, I've been looking for the downside. I haven't found it yet. Okay, I'm curious now to measure our new width. So let's just see what we have. Let's just do 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, and okay, 6, and we'll call it 75 inches, which will work for the 60 width. Wait, was that the 108 side? That was the 64 side anyways, wasn't it? That was the 64 because it's with the selvage. Okay, so 64 is where we started, and we ended up at, we'll call it 75. So like 10 or 11 inches. What's our length? So our length is like here. It's not going to be completely accurate, but it's fine. 36, 72, 82, 92. So technically I could shift it a little bit more if I wanted to, but I don't know how that math works out, because if we started 64, I was thinking we were starting 108, but we started 64. I shifted it to the 9 inch. I shifted it 12 inches. 64. I can't do that math. So 64, shift it 12 inches down, but I don't think that measurement makes a difference. Problem is I don't know which measurement does make the difference. Somebody knows. It's not me. But okay, so roughly we gained 9 inches, 9 or 10. Well, that checks out. So the 64, and then we shifted it down until we had 9 inches. So we're gaining 9 or 10 inches. Okay. Okay, there it is. So I actually wonder if I do want to shift down some more, if I want to leave it, make it a little more even because I have so much length now. 64 and I have 75. I mean, that technically works because my quilt is 60 and that's like 15 inches. That's plenty. Never mind. We're not doing it anymore. Okay, let me sew this real quick. Okay, so I just serged it quickly. You know, overlock. Check your tension before you serge to make sure that your stitches won't show on the right side, but otherwise it's a pretty quick thing. Okay, so I'm gonna get this loaded on my Grace frame. I was at a retreat this weekend, last week, and we were talking about the like how to load a quilt on the long arm frame, and I told her I have the snaps, the quilt clips from Grace, and she was like, oh, I have those too, and I use them, like she floats her top, and I said, yeah, me too. And she said, well, I just, you know, I use them to secure the quilt top. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I attach my backing to the frame with them. And she was like, you do what now? And I said, I attach my quilt top to the frame with them. And she was like, well, I still use pins. And I said, no, I'm pretty sure that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, that's how I do it. And I'm super lazy, so what do I know? But like, no, I'm pretty sure that's what they're for, is not just, you know, securing your floated top, but I'm pretty sure it's also for securing to your quilt frame. And I looked it up, and yes, sure enough, that is what it's also for. So yeah, I am lazy, but apparently I'm doing it right. I just trimmed off that extra little triangle just so that I have the nice straight edge, and I'll do it on the other end. Okay, let's get this done. I have another backing remnant for a different quilt. So like this will be the second, that'll be the third time that I've done this, and works really well for remnants, I will say that. Okay, so I like to load my quilt horizontally, which means this is the way, I believe. And yeah, so I'm just going to use a snap it on. It might not be centered. That is definitely not centered. Let's try that again. This one a bit. Here we go. Now you do have to have like extra fabric with the snaps because you do take up some fabric when you snap. So actually wait. There. Okay. Why am I missing snaps? Where'd they go? There's one on my oh, they're on the floor. Okay. you don't want like too much space between your clips, but I think it just takes like 4 or 5 to do this. What do we say? What's the like 90? I don't know. Oh, well, I guess it's still 108. Is that 108 inches? That's not 108 inches.
82, 92.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's do the other end. I left a pin in there. There he is. Found him. Okay, so now I should have enough. Okay, and with that, my backing is loaded. So let me get it all straightened up. There we go. And you'll see the diagonal seam line. I'll roll this up. I also like that I don't worry about getting stuck with pins while I'm loading or, you know, straightening things out. I really appreciate that. Oh, I didn't do bad. Sometimes it's a little, I'll tighten this side up, but otherwise, no, I didn't do bad at all. That's not bad. I'm going with it. Now, quilt top. So the trick is, this place is such a mess. Can I put it horizontally or do I have to put it vertically? Oh, I can do it horizontally. Yay. Okay. Now I just have to figure out how to quilt it. How am I gonna quilt it? Could just do a stipple, get it over with. It's getting a pain. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But at least it's loaded, and that's half the battle sometimes. I could do waves, but it's kind of oriented the wrong way. I just need to get it done because this one's going to be for sale. So I have some pantos, but no, I don't really want to do a panto though. That's just a lot of work. That one's kind of cool though. I'm just going to do a stipple. I'm going to get this thing done. I'm going to Hawaii in July, and the quilt shop is right on the bay, and every Wednesday is cruise ship day. So they set up booths and stuff outside on the sidewalks, and I thought it'd be a really good opportunity. I'm just going to set up a booth and sell some quilts. We'll see. So this is one of them. I figured it was super fitting for Hawaii. I'll take the sea turtle and just whatever finished quilts I have and see what happens. So I think I'm just going to get it done. I think an all over stipple will be just fine.